Hi guys, Adam here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a dashboard relatively quickly in Google Sheets. And it's actually like you can do it much quicker than this, but we're going to go through a whole process of getting data and displaying it interactively with a data set that's kind of hard to deal with. So this is going to be on 2019-2020 NBA data, and we don't have it, so we have to go get it. And I know that there's a site called Basketball Reference that has data on it, and we're going to go there to get it. This is the site, and we want some individual player stats. So I'm going to go to the player stats. I'm just going to go to the totals. And now we have a list of players with their total stats for the 2019-2020 season. And instead of getting this in a CSV or an Excel file and putting it in where we want it to go, we can just take it directly from this site with a function in Google Sheets. So I'm going to go here. This is going to be my data set. I'm going to call this NBA data. And I'm going to write a function right here. Equals import. Now there are a couple different ways to get data. We're using a website, so we're going to do import HTML. And now what Google Sheets is telling us is that we need the URL, we need the query, like whether it's a table or a list, and we need the index. And what that is pretty much what table number or list number it is on the website. For example, if a website has multiple tables or lists, we'll have to tell Google Sheets which one to take. So I'm going to go back to Basketball Reference, and I'm going to copy the website name, or the URL, and I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to do comma. Notice in the example here it says either list or a table. We're looking for a table, comma, and we'll look for the first table and see if that's it. Close the parenthesis. Now this website is going to have to be in parentheses, and if I click enter, we're going to get an error. So we have to add quotation marks before the HTTPS and after the end of the URL, and I will click enter. And now it's loading, and hopefully now what we have here is we have the data with all the metrics and all the players and stuff that we see on this website, exactly how it looks. So now that we have our information, we can start thinking about how to organize it and visualize it. Okay, whoops, sorry. And the way that I like to do that is I like to organize it first. So I'm going to make something called lists. And what this is going to be, it's just going to be a unique listing of everything of the important stuff that we have in here that we might want to interact with. The first thing is teams. So I'll type in teams. And the way that we can get a unique list of teams is just by using an equation called unique. So equals unique. And now it's asking me for a range of the unique variables that I want. I'm going to go to my NBA data set, and I'm going to look for the teams, which is TM right here. And I'm going to close a parenthesis and click enter. Now what we'll notice is that there's TM is also included in this list. And what we could do is we could navigate around that by selecting certain cells, but I like to select the entire column and work around it with filters. So in this unique equation, we're going to add in a filter function. So I want the unique values if only something is true. And that's when the team name is not equal to TM. So I'll say filter, we still want this, comma, when, or the condition one, when this, which is our team column, is not equal to, quote, let's go TM, TM, end quote. And we'll close that off and click enter. And now that we do that, we have our list of teams. And the teams are in whatever order. They're listed in the order that they appear in this sheet. So OKC, Miami, San Antonio Spurs, that's the order that they appear in here. And I want them ordered from top to bottom alphabetically. So I'm going to say sort. I'm going to add a sort on top of this. And all I'm saying is I want this entire thing to be sorted a certain way. And I think it automatically goes A to Z for string fields. So I'm going to close the parenthesis, click enter, and now our teams are listed from A to Z. Well, there's one other thing going on here, and that's this TOT. That's not a team name. So if I go to my NBA data and I look through some team names, Trevor Ariza, he played on multiple teams, Sacramento and Portland. And then there's this TOT. And if we look at the data a little bit, we can tell that this is just totals from both teams that he played on. And that's not a real team, so we want to get rid of that too. So if I go back into our formula here, I can add another piece of criteria. And we do that with a multiplication sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a parenthesis before NBA data not equal the team and close that off. Then I'm going to do multiplied by, and I'm going to copy what we already have here and paste it. But instead of the team not equaling TM, we also don't want it to equal TOT. And then I'm just going to click enter again. And if I scroll down, that TOT team is no longer there. So now we have a unique list of teams. Now what about players, in case we want to see individual players? Well, we can do the same thing that we just did. I'll say player, or maybe I'll do it in caps like I did before, players. Now I'm just going to copy, or well, before I do this, I'm going to lock in all of these cells. And I'm doing that by putting a $sign before each letter. And if there were numbers, I'd do it before the number too. And I'll copy this formula and paste it. If I didn't do that, this would display a bunch of numbers or something else in the sheet because the columns would move. So now I want a unique list of names. And what are the names in? What column are they in? They're in B. And we already know that we're going to have to try to avoid this player thing because player is not a real person's name. And there might be something else in here, but right now we can't tell. So I'm going to remove the second part of this because we don't need it. I'm going to change this from B to B, which is the column. Column B is where the names are. Change this from B to B. So I want a unique list of everything in column B when that is not equal to player. And I'll click enter. And it's sorted. We have our sort function in there too, so it's sorted A to Z. So now we have a unique list of all of our players. Now, the way that I'm thinking that this works is that we select a team, and the players on that team are filtered. So we're going to select a team on our dashboard, and then we'll be looking at the players on that team. So let's get a unique list of team players. But let's not display that right now. Let's just leave it as is because we don't have a team to select. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to add another sheet. I'm going to call this dash. This is our dashboard. And I'm going to type in the word team here. And this is where we type in our team, or we select our team. And we can actually do this right now. We can create a drop-down list of teams by going to data, data validation, and we want to select a list from a range of things, and that range of things is in our lists, and it's all of our teams. And I can select all these teams, or I could even go down further in case there are more teams. Google Sheets knows that the blanks shouldn't be included on our list. And I'll click OK, and I'll click Save. Now if I go to my dash, I have a list of teams that I can pick from. And I'm going to pick ATL just so we have a team for right now. So now that we have our team, we can continue to get the information that we want. And I'm going to add another thing, or another sheet, and I'm going to call this filtered data. this is going to be a place where we filter down the data to the team of interest, or the players for the team of interest. And we'll use that in our visualization. Okay, so the first thing that we can do, probably the easiest thing, is to go to our lists, because we've already written a bunch of this code already. We want something like this, but it's going to be a little bit different. So let's copy what we have here, and let's go to this filtered data, and let's paste it in. And I'll put in the equal sign just so we have our list. And I'll add in a row above. This should be. So what we essentially want, I'm going to go equals, go to my NBA data, and pick the first cell, and click enter. So that's the header for that cell, and I'm just going to drag this across, because ideally, I'll do it again later, but ideally we want our data to fill out for all the players on the team, or for everything for all players on the team that we select. I'm not sure why this is bugging out a little bit on me. Okay, so to do this, we are just going to filter stuff. So we'll start there. So we will filter everything in our NBA data sheet, which is, let's say, A1 to AD1 10,000, when certain things are true. The first is that when the name is not equal to player, and then we also want the team to be equal to the team that we're interested in. So the way that we do that is we can multiply that by when the team here, and let's lock those cells in, E to E, is equal to, and let's go to our dashboard now, and I can't see it, but let's just do dash A3 for now. Remove this extra parenthesis and click enter, and we don't have anything. That's because I probably don't have the team right for dash A3. So it's actually dash A2 is where our team is noted. So if I were to change this to dash A2, this should bring in all of our Atlanta Hawks players and their data. I'll click enter. And this looks right. I scroll down, that looks like all the Hawks players. And their data will span further than these, but I can just drag this across, and that is right. So we have the position, age, team, games started, etc., and the numbers look right, and we can check that if we need to. Now we have a list of all the Hawks players and all of their information. And the way that I see this panning out is on our dashboard, we'll select a team. We want their logo to show up somewhere. Maybe it'll be beneath here. And then the players on that team will have data for a metric that we also select. So let me just go metric, because we want to select a metric to look at, and maybe it'll be a graph of that metric for all the players. Right now I'm going to type in PTS because I know that points is a metric. And I'm going to unbold this. And then also maybe we want to sort it dynamically. Like instead of having it be top to bottom or highest to lowest, we might want it to be lowest to highest. And we want to do that on the fly. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put in a sort selector, I guess. And all this sort selector is going to be a checkbox. So I'm going to go into my, I think it's in data. Nope. To insert. And I'm going to insert a checkbox. It's going to go right in there. So if I check it, it's true. If I uncheck it, it's false, which you can see up there. We're not ready to use this yet. But the next thing that I want to do is actually, I want a logo. And I want the logo maybe to display here. And I'm thinking that the chart will display over here. So for logos, what we can do, I'm just going to add in another column here. I'm going to say logo. is you can get logos and insert them into these cells based on either you saving images to your computer or you finding a website. I actually know of a website that has logos, and I'm going to insert them in here now. So let's look up NBA logos. And now that I've done that, there are going to be a bunch of sites. I've been to a couple of them, and I found one. This is the one here, Sports Logo History. And each team has logos. I mean, the site is actually, I mean, it functions pretty cool. I like it. But we'll just pick a couple. I'm a Celtics fan, so I'm going to hold down Control and click that, so it opens in a new one. And then I'll just go from the top. I'll hold down Control and click on a few, and we'll do a few together. So there's 5 that we're going to do. Now, when I go to the Celtics one, we can see the logo here. And the way that I get the image address to put into my Google Sheet is I can right-click and I can copy the image address. And I need to move, sorry about this. I can't click back on my Google Sheet because, here we go. Now I'll go to my Boston, next to Boston, and I can go to Insert, Image, and I want to insert an image in that cell. And there are a bunch of different ways that you can do it. Like I said, I'm going to go by URL. I'm going to paste that in there, and you can see the logo show up. This is the URL. I'll say Insert Image, and we should see an image show up there. And now I'm going to go to the Charlotte Hornets. That was my next team, and I'm going to copy the image address. Where are they? Never seen it done like that. CHO. Okay, so, and then I'll go Insert Image, Image in Cell, go to the URL, and I'll paste the URL in there and insert that image. Maybe I'll just do one more. I'll do the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I'll copy that image address when I go to the page. Where's OKC? And I'll go to Insert Image in Cell, and I'll go to URL, and I'll paste it in there. Insert image. All right, so we have a couple images, and you could do this for all the teams if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that now, but now what we can do is we can write an equation to get a logo in one of these cells. We have our list of logos, but we want the logo to be dynamic based on the team that we select. So I'm going to use an equation called index match equals index. So what do I want to take? I'm going to go to my lists. I want to take the logo from lists, comma, and I want to match it to, or I want the logo to match, and now it's asking for a search key in my dashboard, this team that I pick. So I want the logo in my lists to match the team that I pick, and the way that it knows the team that I pick is by comparing it to the team in these lists. That's how it knows which logo to get. And then comma 0 means an exact match, and I'm going to close the parentheses and click enter, and nothing shows up. Well, we don't have a logo for Atlanta, but if I pick a team that we do have a logo for, like Boston, our logo shows up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this into the middle, and maybe I'll bring this down, like I'll cover all these cells and I'll merge them. So I'm going to go to Format, Merge Cells, Merge All, and now the logo is a little bit bigger. Maybe I do that with everything. I just kind of make it all centered. Now what we're going to do is we also want to pick the metric. And I forgot about this at the beginning, but in our lists, instead of team players here, I'm going to write variables or metrics. And that should be fine. What we can do is we can use a formula called transpose, which just flips things on their side. So I want to flip all of these headers on their side, or turn them to go into one column. So I'm going to do equals transpose. It's asking me for an array or range, and my array or range is right here. All my column headers in this. I'm going to click enter after I close the parentheses, and now I have a list of all of my metrics. Now what we can do is we can do exactly what we did here for the team, is we can do a data validation for our metrics so that we can pick any metric that we want. So I'm going to click on the cell, I'm going to go to data, data validation, list from a range, and I'm going to go to my lists. I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time. I'm just going to select all my metrics. Maybe there's 64. And remember, we could do, like, right now, these are just really broad metrics, but you may want to calculate points per game, points per, I mean, there are minutes played in here, so you can do points per 60 minutes or 48 minutes or whatever. Right now, this is just showing you how to make a dashboard out of this stuff. So I'll save that. And now I'm going to my dashboard and I can select all the metrics. And some of these I don't care about, like rank really doesn't mean anything in this context. Player and position and aren't going to even work. But anyways, now we have kind of our dashboard design and how it's going to interact. The last thing to do is set up our data so that it's easy to use in a chart. And I know I'm going to lose some of you here, but hopefully you can stay with me. This is fine as it is, but what's going to happen is that we're not going to be able to sort anything based on how we're going to design this dashboard unless we do something that's kind of intense. And it's going to look intense, but it's actually not that complicated. So we're going to sort what we have here. Remember, so what we have here is a filter down list from our entire data set based on the team we select. So now I'm back in the filter data and I want to sort this list. So I'm going to sort all of this by something, and that is going to be comma based on a match. So I want to match in my dashboard this metric here, comma, to, let's go here. I want to match it to, let me go over here, or it should be A1, but anyways, I'm going to select all of our metrics. So we want to match our column header to that. And then I think that we want to, I never remember this part. I think it's comma 0. And then to make it a dynamic sort, comma, this is asking for is ascending right here in our sort argument. We want it to be based, we could just say true. Let's just say true. And I'll click enter, see if it works. Okay, so what we just did is we matched, what we did is we have a filtered list from our NBA data here for the team that we selected, which is the Boston Celtics. And now the sorting of that list is by points, ascending. So lowest to highest points total. And that's fine. We could also change this to false to do it the other way. But that's not very, that's fine also, but we want this to be based on what we check here. We want to control it. And this is, right now, this is false, but if we check it, it becomes true. So all we're going to do is with this equation here is we're going to replace this true and false at the end with the dash, this cell, dash A6. I'm going to lock it in, click enter. So right now it is false. So it's descending order for points. But if I go here and I check it, now it becomes true. And if I go back here, now Taco Fall is at the top, not Jason Tatum. And likewise, maybe this will be different if we decide to pick a different metric. Like, I don't know, TRB is total rebounds. So let's do that. And I'll go back to our data. Now, again, this is lowest to highest total rebounds. Notice the centers are pretty high, and we can kind of go back here and uncheck that or make it largest to smallest. And now we have the bigger people up towards the top. And this is a lot of information in here, and this could be great. Like, we could use this, but what we really want is we just want to focus on a single metric. And I'm going to create another sheet actually and call it dash filtered. And this is going to be the data that appears in our dashboard, except we don't want a list of it, we're going to want a chart of it. So in essence, what we need to do is we need to get a unique list of the players and the stat that we pick here. So that's what we're about to work on. So, okay. So first, we can easily kind of deal with the unique list of players. We've already done that. So I'll type in player here equals unique. And we want a unique list of the players that we have in our already filtered data set. But notice player is going to come into play again. So we're going to have to do the same thing that we did before. So I did, or we can let's just bring this up. We'll bring it up. So we don't have to do anything. We have a unique list of players, and the first one will always be player, I guess. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get a unique list of the stat that we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to go filter equals filter. Now, what are we going to filter? We are going to filter this stuff here, everything in it. So what we can do is we can say, I'm just going to click somewhere on the sheet because the name of the sheet is filter data, and that's important. Filter data A1 to AD a bunch, and we'll lock that in. So we want to filter that, but it's going to be based on specific criteria. The criteria that we need is just in this filtered data area. I can't see it, but I'll just click there. It's when the column header that we have is equal to the metric that we select in our dashboard. And I'm going to lock that in, and I'm going to close it off and click enter. I don't think it likes that. I'm going to say A1 to AD1, just like I did before. And click enter. And now what this is telling us right now is that we have in our dashboard, we have the Boston Celtics selected because these are players on that team. And we have total rebounds, or TRB, as a selected metric. And the sorting is from highest to lowest. And we can quickly check that by changing a team. I don't remember what other logos we have. I think that we had Charlotte, because that was weird, CHO. Notice the logo will change, and let's change the metric to, I don't know, minutes played. And now if we go to our dash filtered, the players should be players on the Charlotte Hornets, and the metric is minutes played. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use this data to create a chart on here. Let's move I hope I can move all this stuff down. Let's see. Cool. Okay, I moved all that down. And I'm going to insert a chart. If I can figure out where to do it. Insert chart. Right now this chart has no data, and I am going to add data to it. In this add series area over to the right, I'm going to click add series. It's asking me for a data range. So let's go to our data filtered area, and I'm just going to select this because we want to look at minutes played. Click enter. And there we go, that's minutes played. But right now, on the horizontal axis, we do not have a series. So I don't remember, I think that this is, oh, the x-axis is right here. It says team. I don't know what it's actually looking, oh, it's looking at column A here. But let's look at a different data range. And that data range will be our players, which if I go to the dash filter and I select here, click OK, now we have our players. And now the chart is in the same area that all of our stuff is happening. So I could switch the sort and the players will switch. I can switch the metric let's just do age, and everything will switch. I can switch the team, and the players will switch. Is that true? Brad Wanamaker is the oldest player. Interesting. So that's how it works. And now we can make the chart a little bit pretty, and we can actually tell maybe Google Sheets what the chart is looking at. So I'm just going to highlight all these cells here, and I'm going to merge them. Format, merge cells, merge all, and I'm going to make this row bigger if I can figure out how to do that. There we go. And I'm going to enter an equation in this cell that tells me what's going on. So I'm going to go equals the team, so whatever team we have selected, and, or ampersand, quote, colon, space, quote, that's saying boss, or whatever the team we select, with a colon, and age, or whatever metric we select, ampersand. You have to put the ampersands in between reference cells, and then the quotes resemble text that you just want to type in, or strings that you want to type in. So age, let's say breakdown by player, and the string, and click OK. And now we have that appearing in our cell here, and I'm going to put this in the middle. I wish I knew how to format it vertically or get it in the middle of that cell. I don't, and I don't really want to look into it right now, but I'll make it bigger. Let's make it bold, make the font maybe like 20. And now what'll happen is if I switch a team, it'll switch, and remember we don't have a logo for that team, so that's why nothing is there. And if I switch a metric, it'll switch the name of our kind of dashboard thing. Now let's just make this chart look a little bit prettier maybe, if we can. What I want to do here is, first I want to remove the grid lines in the middle, and I think I can do that. I thought I could do that by clicking on them and just clicking delete. Maybe not. Let me try that again. I thought I could remove them by clicking on them. It's taking a little bit longer to click on them than I would like. No, that's okay. There we go. No, never mind. Okay, so what I can first do is maybe I want to make this chart background a different color, or maybe I want the color of the series also to be a different color. I'll make it that color, and I'll add data labels so that I can see what everyone is getting. And then what I like to do here is I like to format specific data points. So there's something that says format data point here, or data point. I'm going to add one. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to select the top 3 guys. So this guy, whoever the top guy is, I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to format him, let's say, gold. And then the next guy, I'll add another data point and do the second highest guy, who's Devonte Graham, and make him gold. And then the third guy, who's Bridges, click OK, the format data point, and I'll make him gold. So now, it says the data point is a specific player, but if I switch a team, those player names will change. So it's just highlighting the top 3 players, essentially. And now the last thing that we can kind of do is maybe I'll make this background a little bit like a nice light gray, and make this background also a light gray, if I can do that. So I will go to chart style, background color, let's make it that light gray that we did over here. Compare mode, I don't even know what that is, but let's do it, why not? And I just want to remove those grid lines, but I thought I could click on them and then delete them, but it won't let me do that. So if I uncheck major grid lines, that'll do the trick. and maybe we highlight these things a different color, like a dark gray with white text. Do dark gray with white text, and we can do the same thing here with dark gray and white text. And maybe this is also a dark gray thing, just to keep it consistent. I don't know. So now what we have is a, let's make this line up nicely. Now we have this kind of dynamic chart that we can change the sorting with. We can change the team. I don't remember. Man, I should have remembered which icons we had. Let me go back. All right, so we got OKC also. So we'll change to OKC this time. And we'll switch the metric. What's something interesting? Who is the best three-point shooting percentage? Oh, well, this is actually a good, so what we have here is we have percentages that don't look like percentages, and we can clean that up in a couple different places. The data that we're talking to is in here, which it doesn't make sense to do it here. But what we could do it, just in case like this value changes, we could make this a percentage, but if we go to points, it'll also be a percentage. So in our filtered data, what we can do is, let's go to 3-point percentage. Let's select that, and we can go to format. I thought it was format. I actually don't know how to. Oh, more formats here, or percentage. Make it a percentage, and let's remove a decimal point, or maybe let's just remove, let's remove a decimal point, and let's also go to field goals, and let's make it a percentage, and remove a decimal point. And now if I go back to my dash, we'll notice that these are all, and even that's a little bit too much. I don't want, maybe just a strict percentage. Now we can quickly see who the best shooters and the worst shooters, I guess, are from three-point land here. And if we go to just field goal percentage, that may change. So I hope this tutorial was helpful. I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, let me know if you have any thoughts, any feedback. Thanks for watching.